Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of the Aces Jiu-Jitsu interview series. I've been doing their blog posts for them and writing some interviews and writing some articles and doing some interviews and providing some content for you guys that subscribe to Aces Jiu-Jitsu. And today we have another great guest, someone that's a personal friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time. I've known for some years, and someone that has helped me to be able to put myself in a position to even talk to you cats by giving me some opportunities in the early days of my competitive career. I always say this: as much as I talk shit about Josh, I always will forever being grateful to you for helping me out and giving me those shots, because I feel like I capitalized on them and made something big out of it, or big enough out of it, whatever I like to say. But everyone, Josh Leduc from Sapaturo Invitational, Starlord himself. Thanks for coming on, brother.
You're just mad at me because I'm better looking than you.
You are a good looking prick. I hate you so much.
You know what I like about Jiu-Jitsu? No censorship. And that's what I fucking love about this podcast.
Yeah, we can get down with the nitty gritty. The jiu-jitsu times I got to tell the line a little bit with Aces. They want me to be a little bit off the top.
You're throwing you guys under the bus, Kevin. I'm just trying to hear come on, have a good time. You're starting wars, man.
And just like that, everything you've given me, you will take away from me before the end of this interview.
Don't tempt me.
So anyway, in case the folks at home aren't aware of who you are and things you've done, let's talk a little bit about how you started off, some of the reasons why you wanted to start off getting Sapaturo going, and some of the ways it's grown over the past 5-10 years.
Yeah, started like Christmas time, 2015. Jesus, that's 5 years ago now. So I started at like 21 years old. I started it because I saw EBI and I saw the finishers, and I tell the story every time, and I owe a lot to Zach and JM for putting on those first like few finisher shows. I saw it and I was like, hey, I can fucking do that. Like, it doesn't look that hard. Turns out it's a lot harder than it looks, you know. First few shows were a little rough, but yeah, first show was March 2016, and I've had probably like 26, 27 shows since then. I've had Gordon Ryan on multiple times, helped discover Craig Jones, Oliver Taza, Ethan Krellinston, John Calistine, PJ Barch, you know, just a who's who in the sub only and like the big names of grappling now, guys who are getting to get out there. And you remember Sapaturo 6, that $10,000 tournament, like the guys we had in there, we had Thor when he was a purple belt,
right?
Jesse Ray, Gordon, yourself, Chase Davis, Boogie, that Matt Tesla cat, like it was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Matt Tesla's on there too. Who's the other guy that trained under Bill that moved up to Washington? I forget his name.
Yeah, Bacalao.
Yeah, Bacalao. I was Josh Bacalao. I always forgot to say his name.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it's been fun over the last 5 years. You know, took a couple years off because the jiu-jitsu community was being, you know, fucking stupid, and had to, you know, revamp our style and how we do things. And, you know, I think this last show really kind of showed what we have in store. Did crazy numbers, almost 100,000 eyeballs on it, you know, and that's the way we're going to keep doing it, man, because if you want to grow the sport, you can't put it behind a paywall. Like, you got to have some free content out there.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because, you know, when you first started out doing your tournaments, like people that are newer to the jiu-jitsu community don't realize the barren wasteland that was previous to EBI, Metamoris, that generation of, you know, competitive jiu-jitsu. There was literally nothing. I mean, you had some tournaments, you had Grappler's Quest and a few other things that were going out there, but nothing that had anything to do with the production value in the idea of super fights back to back and tournaments the way you were setting them up back to back. And in those days, like, it was very, very rare to see that. I'm curious as to why, based upon that, you chose to go with submission only in that regard.
I mean, to me, I don't know, it was the most interesting, you know, because everybody, like, we were in that area of, there was basically only IBJJF rules, ADCC, and like Naga stuff, you know. There wasn't too much of the sub only outside of Metamoris and EBI, and then Metamoris collapsed. You know, I wasn't a fan of the draws, and Fight to Win was probably around because they've been doing things for a while, but they were mostly in Colorado, and they were like on their come up then, so I wasn't really paying attention to their rules too much. But EBI rules were the thing that really interested me because, I mean, you got 10 minutes to fucking submit each other, you know? And going back to like MMA and stuff like that, I always remember hearing like 5 minutes isn't enough time to implement your strategy as a grappler, you know. And a lot of people like those old Pride first rounds because they were 10-minute long rounds and gave the grappler a chance to really wear his opponent down and start setting up his stuff. And when I saw 10 minutes sub only and then some form of overtime that wasn't really benefiting just the guy with better wrestling, it just made sense to me, you know?
Yeah, I think about Eddie Bravo again, and in my opinion, I think Metamoris was the first one to really kind of like get it going. You know, Metamoris made people realize, wow, this is actually a market for this. They had a good production value, the whole thing. It was in LA, you know, you had the Gracies and the big names, and they did a very good job allowing those records. Of course, they were horrible financially, and you know, the story tells itself, but they did a good job of making it a thing. I think that Eddie Bravo still to this day did the best job of what I believe to be something that could be truly marketable to more than just dudes like yourself and I that love jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm going to watch jiu-jitsu no matter what because it's part of my life. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, boring match, interesting match, I'm going to watch it because I love jiu-jitsu. But Eddie Bravo did the best job of what I believe could be that crossover market. I think one of the biggest reasons is because the EBI overtime, because you have a winner. You know, when I watch Fight to Win, the thing that bothers you the most is like, I mean, you've watched lots of Fight to Wins, and nothing against Seth. Some of them are exciting matches, but sometimes at the end of them, like, they put a hand up, and like, I know jiu-jitsu, and I'm still like, how the fuck, who won that thing? You know, and it bothers me. It bothers me for people that don't know jiu-jitsu, don't know the sport.
Yeah, man, it definitely it gives a clear-cut winner. You know, it's like you hold someone longer or you submit them, and that was the thing is Eddie really wanted that submission only and like to always have a submission. And by forcing yourself into those compromised positions, like it almost guaranteed it in the beginning because nobody was really hip to the rule set yet. 5 years later now, we got guys who are specialists in EBI overtime, like Keith Krikorian. Like he has that DVD out, Mastering EBI Overtime. And I mean, you see the jiu-jitsu overtime, like he ran that event overtime only. Like there's guys that really specialize in it. But yeah, it to me, not like the first two when it was on Budo videos, but as soon as EBI got on Fight Pass, that's when I was like, this is the golden age, you know? And I still think that's the golden age of grappling. Like right now we have a lot of money for grapplers. Maybe not as much now coming out of COVID. Like I thought the market was going to reset because for a while, like purses were getting ridiculously high. But I still think as far as eyeballs and entertainment and excitement, from when Fight Pass started to probably when Eddie Cummings lost to Gio, that was like the golden age of EBI. That was the golden age of grappling, you know, and that's what I'm trying to replicate, you know, not necessarily like step by step because I don't want 16-man tournaments. I don't want to just be EBI. I made a post the other day, like everybody's trying to be the UFC. I'm trying to be Pride, man. I'm trying to get these freak show fights on. I'm trying to get like cross promotion, cross talent. Like we just did some catch wrestling matches. We did some bet matches. We did an EBI tournament. I'm going to do some tag team jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. We did it inside a ring last time. Like it's going to be different stuff that's just like more fan friendly. And you talk about like casual guys trying to watch the sport that don't really know it. Biggest complaint I hear is like people still think that you can win a jiu-jitsu match by like a pin, you know? And that's when like these catch rules come in because you can win by pin or submission. And it makes it easier for like the casual guy, the guy who's watched a little pro wrestling, the guy who wrestled in high school or something like that, trying to relive his glory years. Like that's how these guys kind of get to hop in and understand things a little bit more.
Yeah, I think a lot about what you said, particularly when you talked about, again, making you got to come up with something that gets the everyday dude entertained, because the one and we'll get to flow grappling in a little bit, but the main thing one of the main problems, I have several problems with flow grappling, just like most people do, but the main problem I have with flow grappling is it's not really connecting with anyone that isn't already interested in jiu-jitsu. It's not bringing in people that aren't already jiu-jitsu dudes. You know I'm talking about. Jiu-jitsu dudes, they're going to watch it regardless, but you can't really grow as a business unless you're going after those other people. Lots of different organizations have tried to do that. In particular, I talk about CJJ with Eddie Bravo, and particularly when you talked about the golden age, it seems to me that golden age of Eddie Cummings kind of started going south right around the same time that Eddie Bravo tried to hitch his horse to this CJJ thing. Tell me what you think about that and about the effectiveness of CJJ to be that crossover sport, and why it didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be the crossover, but I mean, it's still too soon to tell. It's funny because I just got a notification that Seth commented on one of my posts. I'm like, great, like I fucking love Seth, but
yeah, you fucked up.
Like with the whole fuck flow thing, they're getting on me a little bit. But like someone who's done something really good, like you said, about getting new eyeballs into the sport is Seth, and it's not through the flow grappling aspect of it. It's about the in-person shows, and he really focuses in on putting on a show and putting on the biggest party in grappling, like he likes to say. And that's how his goal is to bring more people into academies, by bringing people to this awesome show. And they're like, oh my God, there's pyrotechnics, there's these lights, there's action. Like the jiu-jitsu matches are great. There's slams, like he wants to grow the sport that way. Eddie, on the other hand, wanted to bring guys over from like the MMA scene, and he wanted to make them a little bit more interested in jiu-jitsu or help the guys in jiu-jitsu get transition to MMA. I don't know if that's going to be the thing, like at first they were a little boring. Now they're getting more exciting. Like the last few combat jiu-jitsu shows have been great. I just don't know if it's the thing, I know Eddie does it because that was his passion from the beginning. Like he did his first combat jiu-jitsu match, like I think 2009 or something was, what's his name? Capella. I think Capella did the first ever combat jiu-jitsu match. And it's just been Eddie's baby, like what he wanted to do the whole time. He liked ABI.
He always wanted to do. ABI was cool, but he always wanted to do combat jiu-jitsu. He always said that.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think that's going to be it. I like watching it because, dude, I like watching all sorts of different subsets. Like I like the Kasai rules. I like ADCC rules. Hell, I'll even watch IBJJF matches, no gi, as long as you got all subs legal.
Right.
Like that's the thing is like different rule sets cause different outcomes and make people a little bit more interested. Like everybody has something they find interesting. I mean, there's some EBI matches that I'm bored as shit through, like no offense to Corey and Keith, because there was a lot on the line in that match, but that was not an exciting match. It was a very technical match, and as a competitor, we understand that, but that's not the kind of match that brings in fans. Whereas if you look at the Werther versus Keith match, where they're both fucking going after each other and like putting themselves in bad positions, and one guy's gritting through things, the other guy's attacking the whole time, like that's the stuff. Or like a Gary Tona Paul Harris match. That's the match I show people when they're like, what is jiu-jitsu? What is competitive jiu-jitsu? That's the match I show people.
Man, how good is Gary Tona? I swear, I don't think there's another grappler as exciting. Gary Tona, maybe Canuto.
Grappler ever. And
he's amazing.
Like to me, if there's a Mount Rushmore of grapplers, he needs to be on there because without him, dude, like I attribute a lot of EBI's growth to him.
100%. And then Gordon just became a bigger, stronger, a little bit better Gary Tona. But Gary is really the one that put things on the map. He was the golden child until Gordon came around. And the only reason Gordon became who he was is because Gary got hurt and Gordon took his place and ended up winning.
And I mean, not taking anything away from Gordon, I think he's the greatest of all time, man. But his matches aren't as exciting because he has such a high skill level over them, and the strategies he employs are very like he's a snake bringing them into his trap. Gary's just like, fuck it, I'm going after you.
Right. Yeah, Gordon almost lulls you to sleep. It's almost like he's bored and he's just kind of waiting for you to do something stupid, and then he capitalizes upon that.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk a little bit about that in particular, because you talked a little bit about Keith Krikorian and I forget Jordan Holly's finals match and how it could be a little bit boring. And one of the biggest gripes that I have about competitive jiu-jitsu, and it's just, again, I appreciate the sport. I like the sport. I can watch that strategic contest and understand what's happening and dig it. But when you start talking about sports jiu-jitsu that has a rule set, anytime there's a rule set, you're always going to have competitors that try to game the system to their advantage to be able to win, which sometimes and oftentimes takes away from the exciting nature of the match, because you got a guy that's kind of like, okay, I'm up, I don't really need to push it because I have this and this set. Tell me about what you think about as a promoter with that regard to come up with the most exciting rule set you can. Anything you tell the fighters to try to get them to be exciting.
I mean, I think like this last one, I did a whole little like Dana White thing in the back. I was like, look, guys, this is live and free on Facebook and YouTube. Like, there's nothing else on. There's no flow grappling right now. Like, this is the shit. Like, this is gonna be seen by over 100,000 people, and it was, like that kind of lit a fire under some people's asses. And dude, like this last show, we had some great matches. There was only like a handful that went to overtime. I think there was only one or two matches that went to overtime. And even then, like they were exciting matches. As far as like matches that are exciting to like get fans, and I really think quintet is the style that will, like, when I saw the first quintet, I was like, man, this is a fucking game changer. And for a minute, it was all copycats. Everyone was doing quintet. I did quintet. Like it was like when EBI started again. Everyone was trying to do that rule set, but for some reason it died off a little bit. I really think the shorter time limits with the chance of getting yourself eliminated. I'm not a big fan of like how they do those stalling calls, because like if you're on someone's back and you're working for a choke, but they don't think you're working hard enough, they'll give you a stalling call. But I think that's probably what you need to do from a spectator perspective. You need something like that. But at the end of the day, we look at wrestling and judo. They made so many changes to their rule set competitively to try to be more fan friendly, to make more eyeballs watch, to keep their Olympic bid and stuff like that, that it took a lot away from the sport. And there's still nobody that watches it, So I don't know if we're ever going to be a big spectator sport. I could, see us being on like an ESPN3 or an ESPN Deportes or something like that. Honestly, I don't even think we need that. If people decided to put shit for free on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all that stuff, I don't even think you need that, because we could see a lot of these events produce their own content at a really good rate, that they don't need Fox to come in and do it, and you're going to reach more eyeballs. So I think that's what you got to do with the sport.
Yeah, it's a different world we live in now. We don't need, you don't need broadcasters. It's always cool. I would love to say that in my lifetime we evolved to a spot where there's like an X game type feeling to what we do with jiu-jitsu, where we can start to say, oh wow, cool, like we actually made it to ESPN 3 at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, and hey, check that out, that's Keith Corey, and I know that dude.
Like, I don't know if you remember, but God, I'm trying to remember. It was like the Wide World of Sports, and they were on like ESPN 3 or 4 or something. And I remember Ian Murray had some matches on there. It was a fucking,
that's right, they did. That was a while ago.
Bacalao had a match with what's his face? The dude ADCC stalled, grabbed the pants of Marcelo Garcia, Popovich. He had Popovich in the finals. Like, they did that. Like, I'm not sure how well received it was, but it was during like that World Martial Arts Festival or something.
Yeah, I remember that vaguely, a little bit about that when it came about. But I agree with you a little bit what you talked about when you say sitting down with your fighters. Because when I mean in any avenue, particularly like MMA fighters, who use that as an analogy for young MMA fighters, I tell a lot of young amateur MMA fighters or young professional MMA fighters when they're coming up to this one thing in particular. Like, yes, you want to win. You obviously want to win. That's a big thing. You want to get out there and win. But like, at the end of the day, like, you have to be exciting too. You have to get finishes. You have to do things that separate you from everyone else, because just like what I saw your post on Facebook earlier today, people tend to forget that like grappling is a business, and promoters are looking for people that are entertaining to bring other people in to watch. So when you're just going through the motions and you're boring, and let's take MMA for an example, you're a takedown guy, you hold the guy on the ground, maybe you throw a couple little elbows here and there, and you get up and you're that decision-making machine. Like, eventually, I guess they're going to give you the nod because there it is, but you're going to be boring, and you're not going to get the attention that you really need to make it to that next level.
100%. And two perfect examples of that: John Fitch, Colby Covington, right?
Yep.
And they went two separate ways. They told Colby after his win over Damian Maia that, like, if he doesn't get more exciting, they're going to cut him, Right. So what did he do? He did the whole WWE shtick, goes full Trump supporter, and like, right. There's two ways to do it. You either have an exciting fight style or you have an exciting personality, Yep. John Fitch, another example. He had like 1 or 2 losses in the UFC. He had an amazing UFC record, and they cut him because he was lane praying on everybody, But look at Diego Sanchez, he's like a 500 fighter in the UFC, and he's gonna fucking retire in the UFC, unless he fucking goes crazy and goes.
They will make Diego Sanchez. They'll be like, dude, Diego, I'm sorry, I love you, but we just can't let you fight before they cut him. It's about that persona, making yourself exciting, and being out there. Tell me what your thoughts on submission underground grappling are, because I know you're a Chael fan. I personally, when I watch, I think that submission underground has the best template for success in that carryover market if it went out there. And I think a big reason is because Chael's amazing. Chael sells anything. You listening to Chael. I don't know if I hope I'm saying his name right. Listening to Chael on doing the broadcasting, talking about the fighters.
Dude, Chael can fucking sell an Eskimo frozen pussy. That's what he does.
But even other than that, I like the 5-minute matches. A lot of people give it shit. That's you can't like develop your game. You can't do enough. But you know what? Like, too fucking bad. Figure it out. Be exciting. Take chances. Go for shit. And then at the end, you got the EBI, so you know who wins. At the end of the thing, there's no like, what the hell happened here? This guy won because XYZ, plain and simple. There you go.
Yeah, dude, it's grown on me. I used to be one of those guys that gave shit for the 5-minute rounds. Honestly, still, I think 8-minute rounds for main card matches, 5-minute for undercard, you'll still get exciting matches because it's not fucking 10 minutes of fucking humping each other and shit like that.
10 minutes kind of leads sometimes into that. Play the game. I could fucking tire you out and be lazy and shit.
And dude, I've studied the numbers of it, and don't be surprised if Zapatero goes down to 8 minutes. The number of submissions that happen in the last 2 minutes is minuscule. It's like 12% or something like that. So, what I like about submission underground is they do a lot of mismatches, and it reminds me a lot of the EBI first round where you always have like the champ against some purple belt, and the first round of EBI, there's gonna be fucking submissions, and that's what people want to see. So I think if we're gonna bring fans over from MMA, submission underground is a perfect example of it. If we're trying to bring fans from pro wrestling, we need something else. If we need to try to bring fans from like just a casual martial arts watcher, we need something else. But I'm a big fan of submission underground. I'm a big fan of Chael Sonnen, and I take a lot from him. He like him selling himself, and now him selling his company. Like, he's so good at spinning a narrative. Whatever happens, he's got it calculated out on how he's going to spin it, how he's going to push it, and how he's going to make money off it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing grows even bigger. And now he's bringing in wrestling underground too. So like, if we're looking at who's going to bring in, from a viewership perspective, more fans and more people like to the sport, it's going to be Chael, because he's bringing in wrestlers now, he's bringing in MMA fans, and he's still bringing in the jiu-jitsu guys. Like, in the beginning, it was just like MMA guys against like Gordon, and that's only going to do so much. But now he's got these undercards with fucking PJ and Ethan, Andrew Alexander's on there. Like, he's got some legit fucking undercards. Joe Baez has been on there. So like, the grappling fans are really tuning in to see the guys. And then you're seeing the MMA fans tune in to see the guys get submitted too. But yeah, I'm a fan, man. It's growing on me. Heather's doing a good job. Chael's doing a great job. I'm excited to see what they do. I hope they do some more tournaments, man, because I like the tournament format. It makes things more exciting.
Yeah, you get to see the same guy. You kind of get involved in the same guy. Oh, he won again. You see him live. We get to see him again. That whole thing builds the drama and the excitement of it. But I agree with you. I would like to see Chael start building up individual fighters in that venue to start building. He does a pretty good job of that, but building the story.
And like, he did it with Craig. He built it up. He's like, he's the greatest grappler alive. And like, a lot of people are like, yeah, he is. And like, everyone who's in the know is like, no, it's Gordon. Right. But like, casuals are like, Craig Jones is the greatest grappler alive, Right. And now they think Mason Fowler is the greatest grappler alive, And like, he can do whatever he wants, man, because he does not give a fuck, It's that pro wrestling mentality. Like, we don't talk to the fans, the fans listen. We fucking just talk, and they fucking listen.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that format, and I being on Fight Pass, it's a direct link to people that are already into
huge things in the next like year. I know, like, and this will kind of segue into Flow Grappling a little bit, but I mean, I know there's gonna be a mass exodus, man. Like, a lot of these big shows that are on Flow Grappling are going to be thinking about Fight Pass in the next little bit. Not because Flow Grappling's not doing what they need to do. I mean, a little bit of that, but just because Fight Pass pays well. The guys behind Flow Grappling, a lot of people are having trouble with them and stuff like that. But, I mean, they have Polaris, they have EBI, Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and they have Submission Underground. Those are three of the biggest promotions, I don't know if Kasai's doing shows right now. Like, Fight to Win is the biggest promotion on fucking Flow Grappling. And I mean, honestly, I think Fight to Win is probably the biggest promotion in grappling in general because of the amount of shows, the amount of time you put
every
in,
week.
and he pays out, dude. Like he like before COVID, he was paying out fucking between $30,000 and $60,000 a show in purses and commissions, you know. And even now, he's paying out ridiculous amounts of money. But yeah, dude, I think Fight Pass is going to be a big player when it comes to grappling. Which, if it's not on a free platform, I think Fight Pass is the way to go, just because they already have a built-in base and a built-in viewership audience, you know?
Yeah, and you get these guys that are already involved in MMA because, you know, you've got there's way more dudes that don't train that are hardcore MMA fans, and then you get them say, hey, what's this? I'm bored. What's going on a Sunday? Hey, check this out. Let me watch. Oh, is that Chael Sonnen? Awesome. Let's watch this. Oh, that's cool. I could probably watch some more of this. Let's see what's going on with Polaris. And then as long as you maintain some kind of an exciting format, they start to understand a little bit what's happening. They become a little more educated, and then they start to watch more. I think Fight Pass is where it's at. And then also, just to say one thing about Seth Daniels, we talked a little bit about Seth. We're going to keep talking about Seth. I love Seth Daniels, dude.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he is. You know, say whatever you want. He talks a lot of shit. He's got a big head. Maybe he's a little. Maybe
love that about him.
But that dude does the right thing. Never always pays his dudes. Never have a problem with him. He's a fucking workhorse. When he says he's going to do something, you know he's going to do it. And to be honest with you, like, some of the coolest things I've ever done in my life were competing on that Fight to Win stage. Like, you get out there and, like, it's a real event. Like, you got fireworks, you got walkout music, you got 500 people in the stands. It's fun to go to a Fight to Win.
I've been to a lot of Fight to Win shows around the country, like Cornering a Meal, the local shows. Like, when it comes to Florida, I used to do the matchmaking. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it anymore just because the whole, like, flow stuff. But, like, no matter what Seth feels about me, and I don't think he dislikes me, you know, but I think he thinks what I'm doing is stupid. But I'm never going to say anything bad about Seth because he's one of the pioneers of the sport, at least from the promoter aspect of it. And he does things right, you know.
Yeah, he deserves that big head a little bit. He's getting a little. I love Seth. He's a little over the top sometimes, but he deserves it. He works
and he'll
for it.
fucking tell you that. He'll tell you that he's crazy. Like, all my interviews with Seth, I love it. All the times I get to work with Seth, I love it, man. And, like, he can say what he wants. You know, he's like another Chael Sonnen. He's the Chael Sonnen of grappling. But, I mean, it's just his not give a fuck attitude that he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And he makes it happen because he has that attitude.
Right. So let's get back to the elephant in the room. What we've been kind of picking around a little bit. One of the things that one of the main reasons I had you on today. Let's talk some flow grappling. Let's talk first of all about some of the gripes you have with the promotion. They're probably similar gripes that most grapplers have, but tell us some of the reasons why you've been on this kick about fuck flow grappling.
I mean, I've been saying it for a while. Honestly, the fuck flow is just a catchy way of saying it. Like, they needed a competitor. You know, that's all it really comes down to. In the beginning, I understood why they needed to have this high price point and stuff like that. And, like, honestly, the price doesn't matter. It's $30 a month, you know? Like, it's not the end of the fucking world. Like, oh no, you skip out on eating fast food twice a month to pay your fucking flow grappling. Like, if you're bitching about $30 a month, like, you're not going to be putting money in the pockets of the grapplers anyways. But it's more the people behind the scenes. You know, I've always had a hard time dealing with Ricardo. Howell's a fucking piece of shit. Like, there's just some shady shit going on behind the scenes. And the biggest thing is the way they're very sue happy, you know. Like, I'm honestly surprised I haven't gotten like a fucking cease and desist letter from them yet. But it's a mixture of the sue happiness, and I get it. I want to make money too, you know, but I also want to grow the sport. And I don't think growing the sport comes from being put behind a paywall where the athletes can't make highlight reels of their matches, where you can't say what you want, where you're being censored a lot, and where they push the narrative who they want, you know. Like, and I really like Roberto Jimenez, but he's a perfect example. They've been pushing him since he was a purple belt, okay? And he's gotten like very well known because of them. He goes in and does the Honor Invitational and gets subbed by Quentin in like fucking a minute, and there's no fucking peep about it, you know.
Right.
They just play their favorites really well, you know, and I don't blame them. Like, I tell my guys, if I don't like you, you're not gonna be on my fucking show. Right. If I think you're a piece of shit, you're not gonna be on my show. If you screw me, you're not gonna be on my show. But when you try to make yourself out to be the governing body, or not even the governing body, but like the ESPN of grappling. You got to do things a little bit more professionally. Like, I don't try to sell that, you know? I'm that loudmouth asshole that will let you drink on commentary and fucking have a party at a show, you know? So I'm not trying to be ESPN. I'm not trying to be the UFC. I'm not trying to be the end all be all in grappling. If you're trying to do that, don't be taking pot shots at your fighters. Don't be ignoring things to push your narrative. Like, just be a little bit more. It's the same reason I get pissed off at the IBJJF. You know, like, they're a governing body that's run through a for-profit enterprise. You know.
Yeah, there's one of the gripes that I have in general when I'm old and I shake my hand at the clouds and shit like that because I'm a grumpy old man. But like, one of the major gripes I have in general when I see a lot of professional grappling as it's growing is just what you said, the idea of a lack of professional mentality sometimes. And like, just like you said, you know, Flow Grappling wants to be this pillar of the community, the same way IBJJF wants to try to be this pillar community. You better be living up to those standards, the same standards that you're trying to push upon everybody else. And based upon what I've heard from a lot of things with Flow Grappling, sometimes they're not as straightforward and cool with the way they do things, that they're acting like they are, that the expectations they have from everybody else, they don't have to live by those rules. And that's bothersome to me. And just like you said before, like, I have fucking 10, 12 matches on Flow Grappling. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if I want to go show my mom a Flow Grappling match or one of my matches, I have to pay $30 a month to be able to be like, hey, check this out. I can't download it. I can't rip it. I can't even make a highlight reel because they'll sue me and tell me they own my content. I was like, what do you own my content? Yeah. You own me? Like, you really that concerned about Uncle Coach Kevin's, you know, grappling match on Flow Grappling 187? You know, does it really mean that much to you that I can't make a highlight reel about that? It just bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'm not the $30 a month doesn't bug me. It's the way they treat the promoters, the way, like, the whole thing that started this was Zapatero 6. They wanted to come do, like, they were like, we want to come take over the branding and the promotion and streaming of Zapatero. I'm like, okay, let's talk. They fucking offered me $1,000 for it. And then they're like, but we'll do $10,000 in promotion material. I'm like, can I get receipts for that? And they're like, no. And then they're like, if you don't sign with us, there's a bunch of people that won't sponsor your event because you're not with us. And I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to blackmail me right now?
They tried to strong arm you.
When they do that, like, when you do that to me, I'm just like, fuck you. I'm gonna do it anyways. You know, like, that's just who I am. But like, they offered me $1,000 for the streaming rights. I put it on pay-per-view. We did like $6,000. It wasn't crazy, but I mean, that's 6 times the amount they were gonna offer me on something that was barely promoted. You know, like, if I had, everyone says pay-per-view's dead in jiu-jitsu, and I'm a big believer in that. Like, when I did the pay-per-view for Substars, they did $25,000. They didn't promote very well, but they had the biggest names in the sport. I think if you really promote really well, the most you're going to do is like $40,000 on pay-per-view. You know, it's different down in Brazil, but in the U.S., I think that's what it is. But these guys are getting strong-armed by Flow to sign with them for ridiculous low amounts of money. Like, okay, they'll give you $3,000 for your streaming rights. That's cool. I made more on sponsorship my last event by doing it free on Facebook and YouTube. You know, like, I make more per event than I would make for Flow Grappling just because it's live and free. And people don't seem to understand that live and free is just like TV. You know, you sell commercial space. And I'm giving like the whole playbook away for you guys just because I want to see a change in the sport. I don't know, like, if I'm going to make a competitor to Flow Grappling or not. Like, you might see that happen in the next month or two. You might not. But if I don't, go get yourselves a fucking sling studio. You can rent them from Lens Rental for $150 a week. And then you just run a bunch of fucking smartphones with it and an iPad, and you can switch. It's beautiful fucking content. You can do commercials, you can do layovers, you can do all of it. The only thing you can't do is a fucking match timer, okay? But that's not the end of the world. It's going to cost you like $150, $200. Like, look at Jits King, you know? They did their whole stream setup off Sling Studio, which is what I use, but they did it off cell phones and $200 cameras, okay? If you're a promotion and you want to go out there and do it yourself, it's not that expensive. Like, our setup now is probably like 20 grand, you know, but that's because we got real nice cameras, we got real nice equipment and stuff like that. It didn't start there. So there needs to be a competitor to it, because when you get a monopoly, like I'm a big free market guy, but when you get a monopoly, it really crushes everything around it until a competitor comes up. And then when there's a competitor, just like in jiu-jitsu, it makes you raise your bar. You have to get better when you're working for that match. It gives you something to train for. If there was a competitor at Flow Grappling other than Fight Pass, because they're not like, they're in competition, but
really.
they're kind of not really.
Fight Pass doesn't give two shits about Flow Grappling.
Yeah,
There's all right, cool.
Exactly. They're like, here, Flow Grappling, go ahead, take your little corner of the market, take your piece of the pie. But if there was someone else coming in to compete for that, you would see a lot more improvements, because they'd have to. Like, you're either sink or swim when it comes to that kind of stuff. So yeah, strong arming the promoters, and strong arming is a hard word. I don't want to be like, oh, they're saying come with us or we're going to shut you down. But like, they're like, we're the big kid on the block. We're going to give you next to nothing. And then the other thing is the rankings, man. A lot of their contracts are built off of, they'll pay you X amount if you have X amount of stars on the show. So like, perfect example, Mike Cipriani ran World Series of grappling, and they paid out like $150,000 in 1 weekend of prize money. Flow Grappling fucked them on their contract because there was tiers to it. Top tier was like, you got to have 10 like world champions, ADCC champions, or like well-known competitors, but Flow gets to choose whether or not they're well-known, And now they're putting in the contracts like, you got to put ranked competitors on there. And who runs the rankings? Fucking Flow Grappling, So you see how it all starts connecting together. Right. You see how they're making it difficult to get the maximum amount of your contract, and they're making it very, I don't want to say it's shady, but it's just a little slimy,
Yeah, and I don't want to be that guy and play this role, but there's a part of me that believes that the BJJ fanatics type, they're kind of hand in hand in that. It's just a weird, sure. It's an odd evil empire that at my core, my freaking inner fuck society core is like, why fuck these guys? What the fuck? So if you're not with BJJ fanatics or Flow Grappling, then nothing you do in jiu-jitsu matters because you're not with those guys. I'm not knocking their hustle. I never knock somebody's hustle. You're gonna make some money, go for you. But there's a feeling of mine that like everything is BJJ fanatics or Flow Grappling, or it just ain't shit no more.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. There might be a connection. There might not be a connection. Who knows? Because Fanatics did an event on Fight TV. So,
yeah,
I think they're on Flow Grappling now when they do their Grand Prix, but it's not the end of the world. Like, the biggest thing I'm trying to get out there is like, look, Flow's not coming in and doing the production for you unless you're fucking Kasat, Yeah. So if you're a promoter, they're going to pay you for the rights, but you still have to do the streaming yourself. Okay. So, okay, you're going to get paid $3,000. Let's say you're getting paid $5,000. Okay. That's something you can definitely make up. That's a reasonable number to make up in sponsorships if you're able to prove to your sponsors, like, look, it's going to get seen by this many people. All right. You fucking stream it through Restream, so it goes to multiple points. Like, I'm doing this for people now. Like, I come to their events and I stream it on multiple sources. And perfect example, Artemis Invitational, or Artemis, I think it's Invitational. It's a women's event in Tennessee. I went up there. Danny Harris runs it. And I streamed their event, and they did 36,000 views on a fucking blue and purple belt female tournament that paid out like $600. Okay, 36,000 views. You know how fucking crazy that is? I'm telling you right now, your little show on Flow Grappling is not doing 36,000. Like, I love the Jits King guys, but they're not doing 36,000 views. Right. Like a big fight to win card, a big Third Coast card. Like, yeah, the numbers are going to be good, but I'm telling you now, there's not 30,000 people paying Flow Grappling. There's not 30,000 people in jiu-jitsu that want to fucking pay Flow Grappling.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot about the concept of Flow Grappling. It's something that I, in the past, had kind of fallen into. There's a vanity aspect to it. It's like the idea, wow, I'm on Flow Grappling. That's so cool. You know what I'm talking about? But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything but to say I'm on Flow Grappling. How cool is that? We could pull this website up and see me. And, sometimes it's not even good production value, video of me on a pretty cool stage, but it really, at the end of the day, doesn't do anything for your business. Just the way you put the template out there. You say, hey, look, well, you want to be on Flow Grappling? Because if you're not on Flow Grappling, you're not on anything. And we're only going to pay you $1,000 because fuck you, kid. You want to be on Flow Grappling. You follow me? But from a business point of view, it just doesn't make sense. And that's kind of my next question to you is along these lines. And this is, I'm just asking you this matter of factly. Don't take it personally one way or another. Really. So when we're talking about the idea of putting on a jiu-jitsu show, like the ability to actually make money off of that, to get your margins together and make it anywhere near profitable enough to make it something that you can do to kind of like make a living off of it. It seems pretty difficult. So
yeah, man, it's tough.
So my question to you is this: is there a certain aspect of passion for the sport in terms of making money? Is it you do this because you love it, and if I make some money, I make some money? Or are you constantly looking to figure out a way as a promoter to make this into something that's going to be bigger?
So when I first started, it was all passion. Like our first 3-4 events were all in the fucking hole. I've definitely had my fair share of events that lost a shit ton of money. Now, the passion, you have to have the passion. A lot of these guys get in this game and they're like, oh, we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to do 30,000 pay-per-view buys. Like, no, the sport's not that big. We're in a niche sport. If you're not trying to grow it and you don't have the passion to put these shows on, you're not going to last. Okay. If it was all about the margins and money, like you can make money a lot easier ways. I'm at the point where if it doesn't make money, I'm not doing it. But it's also balanced with I still believe I can grow this thing, So the other thing with me, you got to understand, is I got a bunch of different other businesses in the sports, so they all feed into each other, So I've built it to a point where, okay, maybe this show lost like $1,000, but I've made it up because people want to bring me in for seminars, or people want to bring me in to do their events, or people pay me to consult on their show. Like it makes money in multiple senses for me. If you're a blue belt out there and you're trying to start a tournament and you're just trying to make money on it, you're in for a tough go, like, because you don't know the people in there. You don't have other sources of income outside of like a day job and stuff like that. But like my last few shows, man, they made money, they made decent money. I'm not saying I'm making $10,000-$15,000 a show, but I'm making as much as like the people who walk away with the purses. If I pay out a $5,000 purse, I'm trying to make at least $5,000,
Right.
And that's fair because like the post I just made, if you look at the top organizations in sports, the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, they pay between 40 to 50% of their gross revenue out to the athletes, people, and stuff like that. Okay. The UFC is a little bit lower. They're at like 25%,
Lower than that, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy to pay between 50 and 60% of the profits out to the athletes, And when I make my purses and stuff like that, that's something I keep in mind now because I've been in the sport long enough to know who's going to draw, what my gates are normally going to be like, what my sponsorship's going to be like. And that's the biggest thing that's really changed in the last little bit is through this whole fuck flow mantra and people opening up, realizing their advertising dollars are worth more on a free platform than they are behind a paywall. We're making more in sponsorship, And when we make more in sponsorship, the athletes make more in prizes. Like I removed buy-ins for my tournament, Like when I used to run the tournaments, even if they were like $5,000 tournaments, you'd have a buy-in, okay? There's no buy-in now. You show up, you compete, the winner takes the prize. Some other guys are making money too. Undercard guys aren't making money. I'll tell you right now, like undercard guys aren't making money. If you're a blue belt and you're not selling tickets, I'm not paying you. If you're a blue belt, you want to come do a tournament, I'll do a buy-in tournament for you and you'll take the purse. But if you can prove to me that you can sell tickets, I have no problem paying you show money. I have no problem paying you win money. But it's realistically based off of what you can draw. And the minute you find athletes that have that business mind, those are the guys I want to work with, The perfect, like Ryan McGuire said something about it the other day. And I'm like, look, dude, you're on Flow Grappling. And I posted on there, like, they can choose to make someone a star if they want to. So if you go in there with an attitude that you deserve something, nah, bro, they're going to pick someone who's going to fight for peanuts in the beginning, and they're going to push them, and they're going to make them into a star, and then they're going to start paying, Same thing now on free pay-per-view or free YouTube, free Facebook. Look at Quentin, man. Quentin's get some fucking hype after that, like Keith too. I've never had an event that was talked about more than this last one. It was seen by more people. It was talked about by more people, shared. Like all these fucking sites are making articles, and I mean, a lot of it does have to do with the whole current situation and shit like that. But he's gained a shit ton of attention, and attention is worth more than dollars, because I can take that attention and long term, I can make that worth more than $1,000 that I might get for a grappling match.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to pay, but I need to make that money too.
Yeah, I agree with you all the way doing that, dude. Like I can tell you firsthand. Like I've never like I've always I'm crazy, but I've always in my heart of hearts been like, dude, I just love to fucking compete. Just you want to put me up on the stage. I enjoy the spotlight, and I enjoy going out there and I'm a ham. I love that. But there's a part of me that's like, bro, like if you want to pay me, if you feel like I deserve to get paid, then you can pay me. You know what I mean? But like if I just want to come out there and compete because I love to compete. I just like to go out there on the stage. And when I see like blue belts and even purple belts, and it's like, you fucking like, what the fuck have you ever done? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're just some dude at the gym and you're gonna bitch because you're not getting paid to be on the undercard of some horseshit show in an old skating ring. Like, dude, go out there and win that fucking thing. Make a name for yourself. Do some things in the sport. And then maybe, if you're lucky, you get paid. This whole idea of professional grappler is like, I'd see kids like, I'm going to be a professional grappler. Like, oh, that's cute.
Dude, I know guys who are ranked on Flow Grappling that have fought for 250 and 250,
Yeah.
Like, the money's not there. Like, the only purple belt I'm going to pay is Nicky Rod,
Right.
Like, outside of that, you got to win a fucking tournament. But yeah, dude, like, I'd love to see it get to the point where I can start paying blue belts and purple belts 500 and 500, We got a ways to go before that happens, but rising tide raises all ships.
I love that. It's so fucking great. I just said that the other day, man. That's an old Brazilian quote. I think it is. I think it's in Portuguese. Yeah, I think it is. Maybe because I heard a Brazilian say it, but I just said that the other day about grappling in particular. We're talking about how Ryan McGuire and Seth Daniels had their beef and they hate each other and all this stuff like that. And I said, like, bro, like you want Ryan to do well, because it makes the sport better, and the rising tide raises all the ships. That's an awesome quote. Anyway,
I'm fucking staying out of that beef between those two. I saw that, and I'm like, I'm not touching that.
I don't want to touch either. We talked a little bit about it on the last podcast, just because it's shit like that makes me think about professional grappling and just go, eh. You know what I mean? I see things like that, and I just go, really? Come on, guys. Seriously, Jesus Christ.
I mean, if you look at the highest levels in MMA, like Dana did that for a while,
Yeah, I know,
Dana, Takiki Barra over there and Pride, and then the Bellator guys and Strikeforce.
I know. I wish I was more show business minded like yourself, but I just can't help it. I'm old and I like to fucking bitch about bullshit and fucking, you guys, you just don't know what it's like. And I don't understand those things. It makes me crazy, but whatever. Well, dope, man. I know you got to get going. You got to get out and teach that kids class, right? I had a couple more questions for you, but we're good. I'll get you out of here, bro. I know we started a little bit late. But, dude, man, once again, thanks a lot for coming on, bro. This is a good conversation, man. You had some good insights, man. No doubt, dude.
I'll come back on. Just give me time.
Yeah, for sure, brother. We'll get you back on jiu-jitsu times here pretty soon too. We'll talk.
Yeah, next I didn't even say anything that crazy. Like this totally got on jiu-jitsu times. I barely swore.
Oh, I know. I talk shit. They give me a good leash, but I like to have fun on this one. It's fun for me because I don't have Kevin. I miss Kevin because Kevin keeps me in line. Kevin runs the show. Like when I try to awkwardly end this thing, it's gonna be like, thanks everyone. Kevin's a professional. He does a good job, but I get to be the one. I get to run the whole fucking thing. But anyway, dude, thanks so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, we had Josh Starlord Leduc from Zapatero. We'll see you again next week, man. This has been Aces Jiu-Jitsu blog, and thanks for your time, brother.